Hey vinyl community, welcome back to Mike's Vinyl Experience. Thank you so much for being with me here today. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Today I want to share with you a quick short video on really the best albums, in my opinion, that I have purchased in 2024. Now this has really been a difficult task because there's been so many great albums. You know, with the Atlantic 75 series that Analoge Productions is doing, the Pablo series, the UHQRs, there's just been so many. Mobile Fidelity Van Halen that we just reviewed a week or so ago. There's been so many great stellar albums, and it was really hard to just sit down and choose maybe 10 to 15 of them. And I'm not really sure how many I've got. I've had to put some back because my list was getting a little out of control, and I don't want this video to be very long. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to share with you today my favorite, to this point, halfway through the year of 2024, my favorite releases that have taken place since January 1st. Some of these are represses from earlier albums that have been done several years ago. I've got a little bit of jazz, I've got a little bit of rock and pop, I've even got some new stuff in here, recent albums, new releases and so forth, but not many. A lot of them are represses. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with jazz albums first. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with some jazz albums for 2024 so far, up till June of 2024, that I think are absolutely stellar. Not just for sound quality, but for the music itself. And that's really how I've derived and come up with the list that I've got, not only with jazz, but with rock and pop when we get to it. I think these albums are absolutely wonderful, musicality-wise, and yes, to be honest, they do have sonic excellence as well. The first one on my list is from a group that I think that you've probably heard of before. Most certainly, you've probably listened to some of their albums like Misty, but it's the Toshoshi Yamamoto Trio, and I know I'm pronouncing that first name absolutely wrong, but great album. This is on the Something Cool label. A lot of the albums that you get from this group here has been repressed on Impact's label, and they've been doing a great job. But this is actually a really excellent sounding album. The music on it, drums, piano, and bass, is phenomenal. Great jazz music, excellent sound quality. Highly recommend it. Vet it out, check it out. Let me know what you think of it. Very good album, excellent album. The next album on my list is one that you probably have heard of and seen. I actually did a video on this album not too long ago. This is the one-step version of Gitz and Gilberto. What a great album. This was originally released in 1964. What was on those original master tapes is nothing short of phenomenal and amazing. What Impex has done with the one-step is nothing short of phenomenal as well. Highly recommended. Great album. The next one on my list is Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, Caravan. This is on the Kraft Original Jazz Classics label. Highly recommended. Great sound. Kevin Gray did the remastering on this. Absolutely sounds wonderful. Highly recommended. The next album on my list is, this one's for Blanton, Duke Ellington and Ray Brown. This is on the Pablo label. This actually is Analoge Productions version of the album, as they are doing a series of Pablo albums. Great album. If you happen to have the original Pablo release of this in excellent shape, you know what you've got. You've got a great sounding album. I believe all of Pablo albums were recorded and pressed absolutely wonderful originally. Analoge Productions is doing a fantastic job of reproducing them. The covers that they are doing are absolutely stunning. The music and the sound is stunning. Great album. I've been using this, as I indicated before, and I've got a video on this one as well, and I'll put that link in the description below. I've been using this for speaker shopping, and it's really been very helpful. That was originally released in 1975. Farmer's Market Barbecue, yet another of the Analoge Productions series, a Pablo series that they are doing. Count Basie's Big Band. This is probably one of my favorite albums so far to be released by Analogue Productions as part of their Pablo series. Its sound quality is nothing short of absolutely stunning, phenomenal. I actually took this speaker shopping with me as well. Excellent, excellent album. This album was released originally in 1982. Great, great album. If you got a Pablo release, you know what you've got. It's great. It's awesome. The last album I have on my jazz list from 2024 is yet another original jazz classics, Cannonball Adderley with Bill Evans, Know What I Mean. Now, this was originally released in 1962. Fantastic sound. Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio did the remastering of it. It sounds absolutely wonderful. The music on it is, of course, spectacular, at least in my opinion. Love this album. What a great album it is. That's really the albums that I chose jazz-wise for 2023. And there were so many more that I could have chosen that I have purchased. But those are the ones that I thought I really listened to, that I've kind of went back to. And granted, a lot of those albums, or at least a couple of them anyway, and maybe 3 of them, I have really been intently listening to as I'm in the market to upgrade my audio system. So some of those have really gotten a lot more play than some of the others. But really, those are some great, great jazz albums currently up to date from this year. Let's go ahead and jump in and take a look and see what we've got with pop and rock. The pop rock albums that I have selected, and really they're all classic rock, at least the vast majority of them. There's 1 or 2 in here that are newer releases, and I'll talk about that as we get to them. But this is really a difficult task for me. And as we go through this list, you're going to be going, holy crap. You're really tied to the Atlantic 75 series that Analogue Productions is doing. And yes, I am. I've really been absolutely tickled with the releases that they have done so far in 2024. So as indicated, some of these, well, most all of them, not all, but some of them, most, are represses from earlier albums that were released years ago, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and even into the 90s. And so let's go ahead and start and go through this list. And the first one that I'm going to start with is an Atlantic 75 Analogue Productions release of Yes, the Yes album. We did a video on this. We did a shootout. I'll put the link in the description below. This is an absolutely phenomenal sounding album, progressive rock to me at its absolute finest. They did a great job with this album. It's just stunning. The album cover, the artwork, the Stoughton gatefold type jackets, old style they're doing, nothing short of fantastic. Great, great album. If you're into Yes, it's a must-have. Next on my list is not really an oldie necessarily, 1991, Dire Straits On Every Street, original master recorded. This is the Mobile Fidelity version. The original, which I do have of this album that was released in 1991, is simply fantastic sounding as well. I think Mobile Fidelity did a great job with this. It sounds absolutely wonderful. Yes, in my opinion, it does sound better than the original, at least through my years and on my system. Great, great Dire Straits album that was released on Mobile Fidelity this year. Highly recommended. This is a new group that is relatively new. Well, I'm going to say they're really new. It's called The Warning. It's a group of 3 sisters from Monterrey, Mexico. Had a chance to listen to these guys. They are phenomenal. They are excellent. They're young. I think the oldest is Daniela. She's the lead guitar player and lead singer. She's excellent. She's phenomenal. The gal here in the middle, they call her Pollyanna. She's the drummer. And then the bass player, Alejandra, is an incredible bass player. One thing that I've noticed, I do love their music. I mean, they're new, they're young, they're in their 20s. I think Ali is maybe 19 or 20. I think Danny's 23, 24, 25, something like that. And Pollyanna, the drummer, is right in the middle. of that group. These guys are simply stunning. This, I believe, is their 5th album that they've released. I could be wrong, it might be their 4th. I've got 2 or 3 others, I don't have them all. But they have got incredible, incredible music. If you want to test something out, maybe on Spotify, to check it out, listen to Hell You Got a Dream. It is absolutely catchy. It is absolutely wonderful. These girls are rock and roll. I'm serious. I mean, if you thought rock and roll was dead, if you're an old 60s, 70s, and 80s, 90s rock and roll guy like myself, rock and roll isn't dead. It's down in Mexico, and it's these little gals right here. They're absolutely excellent, excellent musicianship. The records are recorded okay. They're not anything to write home about as far as audiophile quality, but they sound okay. But I tell you what, if you get an opportunity, take a chance and go watch them in concert. These girls know how to rock and roll. They're phenomenal. Okay, next on my list is another Analoge Productions. This is not an Atlantic 75 series. This is an Analoge Productions remastering of War's Greatest Hits. I have a video of this that I did some time back ago, and I'll put the link in my description below on this. This is probably some of Analoge Productions' best work, in my opinion. The sound quality on this album is literally phenomenal, astounding to me, actually. If you haven't heard this album on Analoge Productions, it's dual 45 RPM. Oh my heavens, you've got to listen to it. It's phenomenal. Great, great album. Okay, next on my list is another Analoge Productions, UHQR of Steely Dan Gaucho, that came out just not too long ago. I did a video on this, a shootout. This is just simply stunning. If you're a Steely Dan at all, a Steely Dan fan of any type, this is one of their very finest albums. I think it's the greatest album next to Asia, in my opinion. But just a wonderful, wonderful album. Mastering was done by Bernie Grundman. It's simply stunning what Analoge Productions has done. Highly recommended. Next on my list is a record store day of this past April 2024 of Elton John Caribou. Now, Elton John Caribou this album was originally released in 1974. One of my favorite albums of all time. Jump on and listen to Pinky on the album. The whole album's fantastic, but listen to Pinky. If you're unfamiliar with the album, it's excellent. Wonderful, wonderful album. Next on my list for rock albums 2024 is Van Halen 2 Mobile Fidelity One Step. We just did a week and a half ago, a video on that. Link will be in the description below. This is a fantastic album. Oh my gosh, I can't believe just how wonderful it sounds. I did a little comparison to an original copy that I have and I've had for quite some time. It's simply stunning. I did compare it also to the box set that just came out a year or two ago from Rhino. Not even close. This is absolutely a stunning copy of Van Halen 2. So happy Mobile Fidelity is doing the Van Halen series albums. Absolutely excited for them all. This one's a stunner. Excellent, excellent sounding. Next on my list is Black Sabbath, their 1970, was it 1970? Yes, 1970 release, just simply titled Black Sabbath. The music on this is absolutely stunning. I don't know if you should say stunning when you're talking about Black Sabbath. You probably shouldn't. My mom would probably slap me if she was still alive. I used to play this at some extraordinarily loud volume levels back in the day. Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio did the remastering of this. It sounds simply stunning. I was going to do a record review and a shootout with this album when it was first released, but then it sold out immediately, so I thought, what is the waste? I'm not going to review something and tell you it's the greatest album on earth, or at least the greatest version of this album, if you can't get it. It makes no sense. And so I opted not to do a video on it, and so I didn't. But I did want to include it here because I think it's an excellent, excellent sounding album. that Rhino High Fidelity has done. Excellent version of the album. Highly recommended if you can get your hands on one. Okay, next album on my list is yet another Atlantic 75, and I'm so sorry about this, but they're just doing such a great job. I had to include it. Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare. Just another great album from my childhood, 1975. All of them on here, to me, have really fun memories. Not necessarily any special meanings or anything like that, but really, really fun memories of a time that was just a great, great time for me growing up. Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare. What an incredibly great album and remastering job that Analoge Productions is doing and has done with that great album. The last album that I got that I want to share with you is, in my opinion, one of the greatest albums that was ever done, ever. This was done, I believe, in 1969, originally released. This is an Atlantic 75 release by Analoge Productions of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, simply titled Crosby, Stills, and Nash. This is just, to me, a phenomenal, phenomenal album. I did a video on this version of the album. I'll put the link in the description below. I did a shootout with the Classic Records version of it, an original pressing that I had of it. And I think I even had another high resolution file, or maybe it was it was an Audio Fidelity Super Audio CD of the album that we did a little shootout in comparison. But realistically, this is available. Granted, I think they're $65. I think they raised some of these albums and they're a little bit more, but this one I believe is $65 for a dual 45 RPM version of this album. Simply the best version of the album out there, in my opinion. Excellent, excellent album. I love it. I can't wait for Deja Vu to be coming out soon. We'll do another comparison of that. We'll compare it to a Classic Records version, an original pressing. We'll do the same thing that we did with this one. But anyway, what a great album. Thank you so much for watching today. This is my choice, and at least the albums that I think are absolutely wonderful that I have purchased this far up until June, end of June 2024. There's many, many others out there that could be included in this list. Let me know what you think are the best albums that you've purchased in 2024. I'd love to hear from you. Please let me know what you think. Please let me know what your selections are. If you like any of these, whatever. If you like what you see on these videos that I'm doing, please go ahead and like and subscribe. I appreciate that very much. But most importantly to me, please let me know what you think down in the description below. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great day.